All right, so instead of recording that intro, I accidentally just went live on Twitch and put my intro on there. But anyhow, today is Tuesday, June 8th, and E3 is right around the corner next week, alongside a number of other conferences. And I love E3. I look forward to it every year, and I always watch it live whenever the conferences happen on Twitch or whatever. But I usually don't put a ton of thought into like speculating and trying to predict things that developers are going to come out with. But I thought that might be a fun thing to do this year, since there's a official schedule put out by E3, and then I think a Twitter user whose name I don't have right now, I just put up like a whole schedule of everything listed in the week, because there's a couple other things that are happening sort of outside of E3. I want to talk about those as well, or look at those as well. And yeah, just kind of predict and tell you guys what I'm looking forward to for next week. So yeah, see if I get any of these right. Okay, so there are actually two schedules, at least that I've seen posted. This one here is the official one that E3 put up on Twitter, which is Sunday through Tuesday. But actually, to this Twitter user, Sania, put out this E3 checklist that starts on Thursday next week with Summer Games Festival, and then Friday is Netflix Geeked Week and IGN Expo, whatever that is, and then all the way through E3 Saturday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday is Steam Next Fest. We'll start with this one since this one starts on Thursday. So Summer Games Fest. So anyway, I believe that Summer Games Fest, Sony is a part of that. I could be wrong. That's just what I've heard around. I actually haven't even like seen anything like online pertaining to Sony being here, because like people remember last year, Sony just held their own live stream, kind of similar to like how Nintendo does Directs. But right here, Nintendo Direct and Treehouse is actually a part of this whole thing. Because this is the official E3 one, and right here, Nintendo Direct is there. So Nintendo Direct is actually at E3 this time around. From what I've heard, Sony is a part of Summer Games Fest, but I don't know that for sure. And Sony could just be doing their own thing again and just holding like a PlayStation Direct on sometime next week. But if Sony is a part of this, I mean, we gotta see God of War Ragnarok. Like, there's no way they don't show off some God of War Ragnarok. Maybe a release date for Horizon, the new Horizon Zero Dawn game, as we just got the big like gameplay trailer thing a couple days ago, but they haven't put out a release date still for that game. So maybe that. I'm thinking possibly some Spider-Man stuff, because if you remember, Spider-Man Miles Morales was actually marketed as kind of like a expansion DLC of Spider-Man PS4. So possibly, but I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't, because Miles Morales came out not too long ago. There's also the new Gran Turismo, which is supposed to be coming out, which actually had quite a bit of controversy because of Sony and PlayStation pretty much saying that a number of games, Gran Turismo included, were just going to be PS5 exclusives, so they wouldn't be held back by the previous generation. But actually recently, Sony kind of went back on their word and came out saying that I think God of War, Horizon, Gran Turismo, I think it may have been those three, at least those are the three that I know, which were all supposed to just be PS5 exclusives, are actually also going to have versions come to PS4. So people are kind of upset about that, because it's, they could be restricting what they'll do with the game just so that it fits on PS4 and da-da-da. With how the world is and the whole COVID thing and just how hard it is now to even get your hands on a PS5, I don't have one. I've tried numerous times. Again, with just how hard it is to get a PS5, I think this is probably for the best, because a lot of people are looking forward to these games, and they were looking forward to playing these games on the PS5 console, but you can't really get a PS5 that easily, so at least people have the option to either just wait it out and try to get their PS5, or just get it on PS4. Another developer I'm hoping to see something from is Sucker Punch. They just absolutely crushed it with Ghost of Tsushima last year, and it was pretty recent, so it's just kind of more wishful thinking, but we need another Infamous game, man. Come on, we need it. That's what we want from Sucker Punch. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima 2 is obviously going to be a thing, but I think it's way too early for them to release that at this point. If anything, I could see them going with another Infamous, or possibly even another Sly Cooper, because they still have the licensing for that, And then a lot of their like Instagram posts and stuff where they're like showing off their characters. Sly Cooper is always in there, but there just hasn't been a Sly Cooper game in a very long time. So maybe they're brewing something up. We'll see, I guess. Now, outside of Sony being at Summer Games Fest, I don't really know much about the developers that are going to be here. All I know is that Jeff Keighley's the head of this, so he could pull out some stuff. But even going to Summer Games Fest's website, like this is their list down here of Summer Games Fest partners. So there's literally anyone, and like Capcom is here, Devolver is here, EA is here, Sony's right here, and there's just all of these, Bandai. But these are all, a lot of these have their own slots in E3, like Capcom's right here, Take-Two's right here, Devolver's up here. So I really don't know what else we'll see from Summer Games Fest. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Even Xbox is a part of Summer Games Fest, but there's an Xbox plus Bethesda Day right here on Sunday. So moving on to Friday, I actually have no idea what either of these are. So I'm just going to do a quick Google search of what Netflix Geeked Week is. Here we go. They have what to expect list. So Sandman, Umbrella Academy, The Witcher, Cuphead show. I did not know that was a thing. Arcane, Lucifer. Okay, so this is just like Castlevania. Okay, so these are all shows, which I didn't know the Cuphead show was coming out. That's actually kind of cool. Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, I already knew that Netflix was working on a Cowboy Bebop show. So it's probably all just Netflix stuff that's just kind of has either been influenced or was a part of video games, like the Castlevania show. Obviously, Castlevania started as a video game. Same with The Witcher, Cuphead, so on and so forth. So it's probably just stuff like that. And IGN Expo, I'm not expecting much from there either. It's probably just IGN doing their reporting on whatever's already coming out. So probably nothing there. Saturday, I don't know what Wholesome Direct is at all. The Guerrilla Collective, I believe, is just a collection of like a lot of indie games. So maybe some releases or trailers for some new indie games. Wholesome Direct, what is that? What is Wholesome Direct? Wholesome Direct is similar in style to Nintendo Directs and will feature over 75 indie games. Oh, so this whole day here, pretty much, or at least the beginning of this day, is just indie games. Okay, cool. So Ubisoft, Gearbox, and Devolver. Now, in terms of Ubisoft, I really am not looking forward to anything specifically Ubisoft. I mean, what are they going to come out with? Probably some new sports games for the year. Who cares about that? I would assume it's probably just going to be kind of the same stuff we see every year, just like updates or new titles in their existing franchises, Division, any other Tom Clancy stuff. Maybe we'll see more of the new Rainbow Six spinoff that was coming out. I think it was called Rainbow Six Quarantine, but I think they changed the name now because of the PTSD everybody would have hearing the word quarantine. I think it's called let me look it up. Rainbow Six Extraction. That's what they renamed it to, Rainbow Six Extraction. But yeah, other than that, Ubisoft never really does much to excite me anymore. So I think the only thing isn't EA a part of Ubisoft? If EA is a part of Ubisoft, then possibly they could show off some Battlefield stuff, which that'd be sick. A lot of people are looking forward to that. But that's really about it, even including EA with Ubisoft. I mean, there's no new racing stuff coming out as far as I'm aware. They pretty much axed everything that's Need for Speed, at least for the next year or so. So, yeah. So, I mean, they could surprise me. I don't have a ton of Ubisoft games in my head just off rip. So there's probably some stuff that I'm just forgetting that Ubisoft does and EA does. But that's about all I got to say about it right now. Gearbox is another one that I feel like people would be pretty excited for. Maybe some Borderlands stuff. But me personally, I don't really care too much about the Gearbox stuff. I think Borderlands is the only game that I even know that Gearbox develops, at least off the top of my head. Okay, now Sunday is kind of a big day here. So we got the Xbox plus Bethesda showcase bright and early. Now, from Xbox specifically, I don't really know what they'd show off other than Halo, hopefully looking better than it did last year after they released that and it looked like absolute dog. So everybody clowned on it, and then they delayed it indefinitely. And we pretty much heard nothing about the new Halo since, so maybe they'll redeem themselves here. maybe something about the new Forza. From what we haven't had a new Forza game in a while. The Forza that's in development has been in development for a long time, and it's like maybe not going so smoothly. It's been taking a while, but maybe we'll get an update on Forza or something like that. I don't really know what else to expect from Xbox. I'm not really expecting a new Gears of War, but they always do show off just like a bunch of games, like a number of indie games and stuff. Like, you know, they surprised us out of nowhere with Cuphead, so maybe we could get something else like that. But really, the main thing I feel like people are really going to be looking forward to with Xbox specifically is Halo. Now, with Bethesda thrown in there, what does Bethesda have that I'm excited about? Would I be excited about a new Fallout? Not at all. After the catastrophe of 76 and just what Bethesda's like been doing the past couple of years now, I don't really care for it anymore. I mean, Doom was awesome, right? They never really missed it with Doom, but I don't think a new Doom's coming this year. That would surprise me, I guess. So unless Bethesda pulls out like Starfield or something fucking crazy, or a new Elder Scrolls, right? Then I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm sure they'll show off some cool stuff to have a big showcase. But Bethesda as a developer at this point, it's not really getting me super hype. Now Square Enix, I'm assuming a majority of it is just going to be Final Fantasy stuff. There was already the showcase previously of the new episode of Final Fantasy 7 or FF7 remake, and then what was it called, FF7 retrograde, where it's like a PS5 exclusive thing, which makes no sense to me because it's a part of the game that could easily be played on PS4. I don't get it. Square Enix does have the Avengers game that sucks meat that nobody liked. That was part of their showcase last year, but they're still supporting the game, so maybe they'll show some like DLC for that. But I couldn't imagine a ton of people being super excited for that. I know I won't be. Square Enix actually another thing that Square Enix has that I almost forgot about was Outriders. I haven't personally played Outriders, but for what I've seen and heard about the game, it's actually been received pretty well. I mean, it's not like a 10 out of 10 game, but if all the bugs and if the game is supported well, it could turn out to be something pretty cool. Again, I haven't played it myself, so I don't have any like personal excitement for Outriders coming from Square Enix, but it could be something else that they show off. Maybe their plans on what they're going to do with the future of that game, like DLC or just support in general, maybe like a season system, something like that. But we'll see. Oh, I actually just saw this on Twitter. So going back up to Summer Games Fest, Elden Ring is pretty much confirmed to be there. Let me see if I can find the tweet. So this is the tweet here, and hitting translate. This isn't the greatest English, but essentially, obviously it's saying Summer Games Fest 2021. Elden Ring will be unveiled there. So that's a big way to start. If this is true, that's a big way. I don't know what Twitter account this is, if it's reputable or where this came from. It's all in Japanese, so I couldn't tell you. But if that's true, then day one, we're popping off. Like, that's big news off a rip with the Summer Games Festival. And I know Jeff Keighley, like, he's a big name in gaming, so he could pull out a bunch of shit on this day, just kind of jumping back up to it, I know. But the fact that Elden Ring is going to be there actually makes me excited that there's probably going to be some other big stuff, even if Sony isn't there. So anyhow, that was just jumping back up real quick because I just came across this on Twitter. But anyhow, going back down to where are we at? Sunday, PC gaming show. No idea what's going to happen there. It's just PC gaming show. Same thing with future game show. Don't really care. These are pretty much intermissions so that everybody could take a break from their screens until the Warner Brothers showcase. Now, Warner Brothers showcase actually has some bangers, okay? Because last year, or whatever it was, because you got to remember they came out with a lot of DC stuff last year. So there's the Gotham Knights game, which looks absolutely sick. I really want to see some more of that, along with the Suicide Squad game. Both of those, from the little bit of trailers and gameplay we've seen from Gotham Knights, I'm very excited for these games. And I think the Suicide Squad game, if I remember, actually takes place in the Gotham, or in the same universe as the Arkham games. I know one of them does. I'm pretty sure it's Suicide Squad. I don't think it was the Gotham Knights one, but I don't remember exactly. But one of those, either way, I'm excited for both of those games. But also, there's another developer inside of Warner Brothers called NetherRealm. And NetherRealm has to be here. It's been when did Mortal Kombat 11 come out? Mortal Kombat has been going strong since 2019, and that's, I think, the longest like life cycle of a NetherRealm game. Usually they put out a game, they support it for like a year, and then they put out a different game, which the cycle recently has been Injustice and Mortal Kombat, and that's pretty much just how it's been. It was MK9 into Injustice 1, then MKX, Injustice 2, and now MK11. So but here's the thing: there's been some rumors, and if NetherRealm is here, I don't think it's gonna just be Injustice 3. I think there's a possibility that it's gonna be a DC versus Marvel NetherRealm fighting game, and that just sounds phenomenal. If that there's no merit behind that, it's just rumors I've seen on the internet. But if that comes true, my God, because I don't see them just releasing another Mortal Kombat since the previous game that they came out with was Mortal Kombat 11. And if it's just Injustice 3, that is cool. I love the Injustice games. But I don't know. It just feels like it's going to be something different. And Marvel versus DC would be absolutely bonkers. And I can't see them doing another Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe just because of how that game went in the past. I don't know. Fingers crossed on that. And I'm sure there's some other stuff coming out of Warner Brothers, but for me personally, what I'm looking forward to is what NetherRealm comes out with, if they come out with anything, and then the Gotham Knights game and Suicide Squad. So that's Sunday done. Moving on to Monday. Out of all of the developers here, the only one I kind of care about is Capcom. But what could Capcom even pull? Maybe some Street Fighter news. There's still the final Street Fighter character. DLC character for this season that hasn't been unveiled. I'm not expecting to see like a new like Street Fighter 6. If anything, maybe like a Street Fighter 5 Alpha, where they just unveil the new character and then they release SF5 Alpha version of the game, where it's like all the DLC put into one, just the whole game wrapped up tight in a bundle. Maybe some new mechanics or something for the Alpha version. That's just kind of wishful thinking. I do expect this at the very least, just get the character reveal here, which it has to be a nuts character, presumably like a crossover character, since this is like the final silhouette that hasn't been unveiled, and it's just been the silhouette that everyone's been staring at for like a year. So it's got to be something nuts if they do show it off here at E3. Resident Evil just came out literally like a couple weeks ago, so I don't really know if any new Resident Evil stuff is going to come out of Capcom. Maybe another remake? Probably not. And as for Mythical Games, Freedom Games, and Razer, I just don't care at all. I don't even know what these two are. And Razer, what are they going to show off? A new mouse? Who knows? Now, Take-Two, for those who don't know, is actually the parent company of Rockstar. So obviously, just them being here is giving people the slightest bit of hope that we're going to see some GTA 6. But I can pretty much... I don't think that's happening at all. At this point, I don't think GTA 6 exists. And if it does come out, it'll be in like 5 years when like the PS6 is about to come out or some bullshit. I believe Take-Two also is parent company of 2K, so there could be a new 2K sports game or whatever. Don't care about that at all. And really, just not super excited about Take-Two. Pretty much from this day, the only one I care about is Capcom. But even from Capcom, I just don't know what they have. I mean, they have tons of IPs, but I just haven't really heard any sort of rumblings of what they could be working on. So actually, Capcom holds rights to Pragmata, which is a game that was shown off I think last year. Just like the really weird like Spaceman trailer, and then the little girl, it pretty much people were comparing it to Death Stranding like off rip just because of how weird it was. So maybe we'll see some more of that. I've also seen a couple rumblings of a new Phoenix Wright game. Never played any of those, so personally I don't care a lot about that. I guess it'd be cool for people who aren't fans of the Phoenix Wright series. But yeah, Capcom's kind of an enigma because they have a lot of cool IPs. Maybe they'll show off like a new Mega Man or something, who knows. But I just don't really know what they'd actually show, because there's not going to be a Marvel game, like a Marvel versus Capcom or anything. There's not going to be a Street Fighter 6. So I don't really know. All right, Tuesday is kind of a big day. I think arguably people will say that Sunday is probably the biggest day, but we got Nintendo back at E3, okay? So now we could probably just move over here. So Nintendo's actually a part of E3, which usually they aren't. They just kind of have their Nintendo Directs separate, and that's it. But they're actually here on Tuesday as a part of the E3 broadcast schedule. Nintendo has the potential to absolutely blow everyone else out the water, but it's just really up to them if they actually want to show anything off. So off rip, if Nintendo doesn't show Breath of the Wild 2, I'm gonna be furious. They teased us with the previous Nintendo Direct. They brought the freaking Legend of Zelda developer out on screen, and he was like, "Yep, we're working on Breath of the Wild 2, but we're not showing you shit. Here's a HD remaster of a old ass game that you can pay $60 for today." What? Just show us Breath of the Wild 2, please. But there's a ton of other stuff Nintendo could do. Maybe they unveil the final. I think there might be 2 DLC Smash characters left. Maybe it's 1. I haven't really been keeping up or even playing Smash that much nowadays. There could be so many things. Pretty much every Mario franchise that released with the Switch could be getting a sequel. We're due for a new Mario Kart. We're due for Mario Odyssey sequel. We're due for just so much. Possibly a new like Donkey Kong or something. Who knows? They came out with, I think it was like the HD remaster or whatever of the Wii U game. So I mean, if Nintendo pulls up and just like, here's a bunch of Wii U games up-resed that you can pay $60 for again on the Switch, just get that shit out of here, man. Just basically, if they show off new Zelda or a new Mario Odyssey, they win. That's kind of it. But there's also just so much that Nintendo has in their pockets that they could potentially pull out, but this Nintendo we're talking about, so yeah, I really have no idea. Now, Bandai is a weird one. They have all of like the anime licensed fighting games. I can't see a new Dragon Ball FighterZ coming out. I think that'd be one that'd really blow everybody up and like get everybody hype. But Guilty Gear Strive is coming out. Yeah, I think it's out today if you have the if you bought like the premium version or whatever. But on the 11th, it actually comes out just for everyone. So I feel like that's going to be the game that that developer is actually working on. So I doubt that a new Fighters game is coming out. I mean, last year the big news from Bandai was Jump Force, and we all know how that went. So I really don't know what Bandai could show off. Oh yeah, and just going back to Nintendo for a second, I don't know how I glossed over this. There's all the new Pokemon games that came out, or not came out, but were released before. So Pokemon Arceus, which was like the real big one that people are kind of excited for because it's different than anything else we've seen. And then there was the remake of Diamond and Pearl, which I don't really expect them to show too much Diamond and Pearl just because it's just a remake of a game. But if we do get to see some more Pokemon Arceus, that'd be cool. Also, pretty much been confirmed that there's going to be a Switch Pro, like not released, but showed off before E3 that you could maybe even pre-order before E3 even happens. So maybe they're just going to be showing off some, great looking games that we got to kind of show off what that new Switch can do. So maybe a new Metroid even. So yeah, just wanted to, because I just forgot about, somehow I forgot about the Pokemon and the new Switch that were coming out. So just wanted to go back to Nintendo for a second there. Now, Bandai does have the Elden Ring license, but like I said earlier, that's going to be a part of, well, actually, it's not on this one. It's over here, the Summer Games Festival. So maybe they'll talk about Elden Ring again, maybe showing off a little bit more of the game or something. But yeah, other than that and like a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2 game, I really don't think Bandai's going to pull anything huge here. And again, I don't think Dragon Ball FighterZ 2 is happening. So we'll see. And pretty much everything else, I don't really care for. But actually, looking at this one, this actually has a bit more like in detail on what's actually happening. So this is just Ubisoft and Gearbox, which we already talked about. And then here, it's actually, instead of just saying Warner Brothers like it does on this checklist, it says Warner Brothers Back for Blood, which actually made a video playing the Back for Blood alpha or beta, whatever it was. And it was a lot of fun. Essentially, it's Left 4 Dead's like spiritual successor. But that also makes me think that, is this showcase just Back for Blood, or are they actually going to show off anything from NetherRealm or any of the like Gotham Knights games and stuff that we already talked about? I don't know. So anyhow, that's the schedule, and pretty much to wrap it up, what I'm personally mostly looking forward to, if Sony is a part of this at all in Summer Games Fest, then I need to see God of War. I gotta see that. If they come out with some new Spider-Man information, that'd be cool. I really, really, really want to see something from Sucker Punch, even if it isn't Infamous. Infamous is really what I want, but I just love every game that Sucker Punch has pretty much ever made. So anything from Sucker Punch would be cool. I know we're gonna see some Horizon Zero Dawn, or some Horizon New Dawn, whatever it's called. From Xbox, not really super excited about anything other than I would like to see the Halo look good, because I do want that game, to succeed. And now that I actually can play Xbox games, because even though they're Xbox exclusives, if you got a PC, you can play them. So if anything from Xbox does turn out to be really cool, sick, because I can actually experience that. Same with Bethesda. Not really particularly looking forward to Fallout or a new Doom or anything like that. The really only big thing Bethesda could really pull is that would personally excite me would be a new Elder Scrolls or Starfield. So from Warner Brothers, again, we just went over that the official schedule just points out Back 4 Blood. So if it's just Back 4 Blood, then I'll be kind of disappointed. But I actually do like the game from what I played of it, the little bit I played of it during the beta or alpha, whatever it was. So I guess it'd be cool to see that. But I'm just hoping that NetherRealm pulls up with a Marvel versus DC fighting game. I would lose my shit. And then obviously all the other DC stuff that I already talked about, Gotham Knights and the Suicide Squad game, I'm looking forward to quite a bit. And then the last thing that I'm really looking forward to is Nintendo, because of just how much they have on the table that they can show off, but it's just Nintendo, so we really have no idea what they're gonna do, man. But if they don't at least give us something, some news on Breath of the Wild 2, then I just don't know. I don't know, man. I don't think that game's ever coming if they don't show something off this year. Now, I don't even need a release date. I just need you to show me a trailer, show me what the map looks like, just something. But yeah, I'm sure I missed a ton of stuff. If there's anything in particular that I didn't talk about that you're excited about, or if there's just anything in general that you're excited about, let me know down in the comments. Anything I missed out, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you guys are actually going to be interested in watch E3 this year. I know I will, at least everything that I can watch while I'm not at work and whatnot. So yeah, see you guys in the next one.